Okay, so welcome back. Um, we're gonna try to well, we're gonna try to recover from that last match, which was a defeat, which is gonna happen. Can't win them all, but you have to be able to deal with that too. And I'm not good at that. I am not a good loser. I don't like losing, and I'm sad to say I handle it poorly, which is one of the things that I'm trying to improve. One of the ways I can do that is by letting the game play out after I get eliminated and by watching my opponent. First off, to see how they play, because if they're beating me, then I should be playing like they do. And two, how to defend against them. Maybe I can see somebody that beats them and how they did it. Okay, so I'm just twitching here. Oh, getting a little hungry, I think, here. So I think it's dinner time. All right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to play a battle royale, not a zero build, but a regular build. Oh, come on. Hate that. There we go. Okay, sorry, I'm just playing with Windows trying to do this and that and the other thing. See if it's working yet. Yes, okay, and I found a game. Alright. So, not getting an echo this time, that's good. Now this is part 2 of Homebase, knowing the terrain. Okay, so since this is a series on home bases, I'm going to go to one of mine, the Shack. Okay, the Shack is a very well-known home base. Okay, maybe too well-known. And the problem is when it's right under the drop, you can expect that in a ranked match it's going to be contested. So what you want to do here is you want to land on this first top mountain. You want to drop all the way to the bottom here and then pull. Land on this gun. It's usually almost here. Now you can see your other people here. Now you want to get below here. Look where they land. He landed down there. Can I get him? Okay, so what I did there is I scared him away from the loot. I made him run away. That gives me time here Take these minis. Don't see anybody else here. Got a different field of view here. I think he's run away. Casey's hiding in there. I learned that trick recently from a homie, from Miffy. Thank you, Miffy. I owe you that one. I had no idea. You know, that's not true. I had seen it. I had seen other players. Then I saw Miffy do it. And I asked her how. Of course, the explanation was obvious. I should have thought about it. But, you know, that's what makes a great player better than a good player, is that they know these things, whether they're obvious or whether they're not obvious. Because there are matches. Oh, see, someone landed here. So this is the other. Okay, so these are the top spots here. Whoa! Okay, I gotta get out of here. Now, I went that way, but I want to go this way. So there's misdirection. Now, is he following me? And am I going to have a chance to get revenge here? There he is. See? He's following the direction he thought he saw me go. Oh yeah, it's Bill. Oh. Hold up on that guy. No, I'm not really sure where I am. I want to get back here if I can. Since I'm in the car already, there's no point in me not taking advantage of it. in the low areas so you're not easily seen. Now, alright, so now we're flying the wall. Okay. So what I've done is I've moved myself to the back of the zone. Okay. Where there's not likely to be very many people. Right here. Still. And if they are, they're probably a camper, not an aggressive player. And I can see people rotating. The car blends in with the background, and it would be hard for anybody to get to me here. I mean, not impossible. And they can shoot at me. Okay? But from where? Not many places have a clear shot. I can see all around me. Nobody can see me. And I'm 32. Now, because I did so poorly in the last game, I need to recover. Just in terms of points at Fortnite Tracker and in terms of well, I guess just I'm not playing ranked, so it doesn't really matter. Other than Fortnite Tracker, this doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is just a practice game. And that's the way you have to look at these non-ranked games. They're just practice, they don't matter. The only games that really matter are the ranked games. Okay. But I'm playing as if it was ranked. This is kind of what I would be doing. Fly on the wall. Okay, and I got a new zone. Okay. That's zone savvy. I know that zone tends to pull around to the edge of the map. So, now, you shouldn't just have one home base. Because if you're playing against other players who get to know you or know that home base, you need to be able to cycle through, other home bases. If you play the same game every single time, eventually people you're up against will get to know that and can use that against you. So you have to rotate through 2 or 3 of your home bases. And they can kind of closely be related too. If they all are adjacent to one another, then you have a home area, which gives you quite a lot of flexibility. However, you might need, one that's a little farther away. Depending on the bus path, of course, because you don't want to land under the bus. It tends to be very hot there. If you're doing a strategy like the long glide, or even on your way down, you want to be cognizant, especially if you hear or see the symbol for another glider near you. There may be someone who's following behind you cannot see, who will land on you, and then it's a 50-50. They may get the gun, you may get the gun. That's not a good situation. Losing on the drop is definitely going to hurt you. You can fake glide towards a spot. Pick a spot, glide towards it, and then at the last minute, especially once you're out of line of sight, you change your direction. And this is like when you run away from someone. You run away in one direction, and then you switch to another direction, and not always the opposite one. None of that, but when you land, if you do get in a fight, you got to do it quickly. You can't wait for someone else to loot and then find you You need to loot, eliminate, and hide. Or just loot and hide. Okay? You cannot afford to get into a long discussion at the beginning of the match. You have to practice this. You have to find those places and you have to drop there and drop there and drop there and drop there until you've dropped there many times and seen what happens there many times, so that nothing that happens to you there is a surprise. But hopefully what happens to the people who drop there with you is surprising. Maybe they don't have your experience there and they don't play it as well as you play it, and that gives you an advantage. Especially because you know the terrain and they may not. So if you can get to the ground first, get a gun first, in a good position, especially if that forces them into... See, if they're going to one of these areas like I go, where there's high ground, and you get there first, that forces them into a lower ground position. And if they're smart, they'll retreat from that, which takes the pressure off you. If they're not so smart, they're going to push at a disadvantage. And that gives you a chance to get the elimination, especially if you can get some minis right off the bat. You know, those minis can be the big difference. Or any kind of, you know, if you get a great gun, or just the right gun and they have the wrong gun. Any of those situations. And then the other thing is when you practice at a home base and you make a mistake, okay, you need to learn from that. You need to realize that, first off, what was the problem there? And then how to avoid making that problem, having that problem again. Now, I just need to get into the zone. Where am I? Thought I heard something there for a second, man. But I see no visible symbols. Must have been Fortnite. Oh, and I'm doing something anyway. Oh, yeah, I already did that. Okay. It's time. It's time. I gotta move here. Oh, almost top 10 too. See, just talking away. Yes, Sun Tzu, if he was playing, he would have favorite hot spot, or favorite drop spots, biddy. He would have favorite places to land. And he would choose them well. The high ground, with cover, with a chest that spawns always, with backups, we'll talk about those. The victorious strategist only enters battle after the victory has been won in preparation. So, you know, I don't want to get into a fight until I'm prepared. Oh, here we go. Know your drop. Master it. Okay, but don't marry yourself to it. You know, if it's not a good drop, if it's a bad situation, you miss the jump, you're a little late, someone beats you to it, which happens, you know, bail. Go to a backup. And that's what makes a good drop, is it has a backup. So one of the things about that chest at the top is, if it's contested, I can veer off and land at the crack shot's house there, the crack shack. Or I can land in a bush, hopefully unseen. Or I can, let's check behind me now. or I can land at that monolith or the whatever it is. I can land at that house down by the water. I can land at the little building with the suitcase of patients. There's usually a chest there. If not, there's at least... Oh, there we go. All right, top 10. Well, that takes the pressure off. Because now, well, no, at least I get something to make up for that last one. There's Buddy in the car there. They're fighting. I got high ground. That's weird, eh? It's like they kind of know where I am but can't find me. Top 5. That was a brilliant escape. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, right. Yes! I used the right thing at the right time. Come on, Tom. Oh, you fucking, what a cheater, eh? Yeah, so many cheaters. Hmm, cheater. Yeah, talk about an aimbot, man. I think so. That's why you can't win this game every time, because it's not fair. Oh, I got a V-Bucks. But, you know, part of it is not losing my cool. I was victorious there because I didn't lose my cool. Didn't get angry. It's just a game. You know, you can't do anything about cheating. You just can't. Okay? Epic won't. You can't. It's going to be in the game. Not just, not cheating necessarily, okay? But just unfair matchmaking. You're going to be outmatched, outgunned. Okay? That's inherent in the game. Okay? The matchmaking isn't skill-based matchmaking. Okay? Especially not in ranked, of course. In ranked, you're up against people in the same rank. They're inherently better than you. Okay? It's inherently unfair. Okay? This isn't a matter of being the best. If it was, you'd already be up there. Okay? If you were talented, if you were one of the top players, okay, first off, you'd know this stuff already, whether you understood it or not. Okay? And second, you'd already be up in playing. You know, you'd be in the tournaments. You wouldn't be watching this video. Okay? So you have to have a realistic appraisal of your abilities. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to know yourself. Okay? And you have to know that the enemy is often much, much better than you, has has advantages that you do not have. And this is why you have to have strategy. You know, you have to advance without coveting fame and to retreat without fearing disgrace. You know, you have to be able to get into the game and get kills, but not without striving so hard that you lose the war. You know, it's no good winning a few battles, but then you get picked off. And you got to be able to pull back when you're, you know, if you're in and it's deep, it's too deep, you know, you got to make a retreat. When the enemy occupies high ground, don't confront him. You know, if if you're if you don't have an advantage, don't get in that fight. There are many fights you don't want to get into because you're not going to win. Or if you even if you did win, you're taking a risk doing so, and sooner or later, the odds will be that you don't succeed. Yeah, some points of interest, some home bases, they offer you that high advantage. You know, it's definitely worth having that. Okay, but it's often contested too, so it comes at a price. You need to have a backup. In fact, you should have backup for your backup. Okay, and then when you do lose, and that's going to happen. Okay, then you have to evaluate that loss. And sometimes you just have to realize that you can't win everyone and you didn't make any mistakes. And when that happens, then you have to keep going with the same plan and just trust the numbers. That most times it works. Nothing works every time. And that's why you have to be able to roll with the punches, which is what I'm not very good at doing, but I did this time. So yay, good on me. I feel like I won that one. How to win without winning. You know, the way to win without winning is when you get better. Even if you didn't win the game, you got better. That's winning. That's real winning. Lowly grunt.